morning. I'd like to take a moment to introduce you to our companions that will be doing some wandering with us in the future. This would be Binks. This would be Mojo. They love to go with their mom, however, not necessarily in the car, but they will be coming with us and you'll see them again soon. Good morning, all my friends. Remember, all those that wander are not lost. Well, how are you doing, my wanderers and friends? I hope you're all doing well. I'm doing great. So let's get into today's subject, rising food costs. I prepared myself some notes, so you're going to see me occasionally looking down. I've done that because basically this subject could go on forever. We could discuss so many different things. I've tried to just highlight some of the things that I thought might be interesting, informative, and possibly some ideas that some of you might enjoy trying. So, rising food costs. First, let's talk about the possible reasons for the food price increases. In my opinion, I don't really think the stores are jacking up the prices just because they want to jack up the prices. When you look at things across the country, across the world, there's many events that have affected the rise in the food costs. One big contributor is the weather in different areas, not only here, but in other countries, because we do import some food from other countries. So the first one that comes to my mind in general is Texas. We all remember the freezing temperatures that Texas had and all the problems that brought upon them due to those freezing temperatures. What we didn't hear about too much at that time was that basically some of the states around Texas also were hit with those freezing cold temperatures. And a lot of those states are known to be, well, how do I want to put this? Producers of chickens. Many chickens were lost in that freeze, in that cold. So that is going to mean that basically there won't be as many chickens available. And when there's less availability, prices usually go up. Less chickens, less supply equals rising costs. When farmers' fields were flooded, less crops were produced. Again, less crops available, less supply in the supply chain, higher costs. Transportation costs, we could go into that for days, couldn't we? Some want to blame the truckers, others blame manufacturers, but basically when we are not producing as much gas here in the country ourselves right now, it has driven the cost up for the trucking companies to transport it. Those transportation costs have to be passed on. First, the stores, in this case, we're discussing a little bit more about grocery stores. They're being charged more to get the product there. And that cost has got to be paid by someone. So actually it gets passed on. And you got it. It is us, the consumer, that's going to end up paying that. And now another thing I think about often is how much we are actually exporting of our food out of the country. We export now out of the country than we ever have. And the minute we do that, that is removing food from our supply chain. Again, now we have less product, higher increase in prices. So this is many things to take into consideration. The question I raise is, what can we do about it? Doesn't always seem like there is a lot we can do with regard to that. But I'm thinking, well, many of us are on fixed incomes, especially those seniors on Social Security or SSI, any of those type of programs. Their income is not increasing. And people, good hardworking people, are not seeing an increase in their wages, and even if wages were increased, that employer is going to pass on those increases in the product that he's selling to whomever. And it goes on and on and on. It just gets more difficult. Oh, and by the way, I wanted to let you know, in case you don't know, just recently, Bank of America has just confirmed inflation is at 12%, not 2.3, 12%. And I believe, honestly, my opinion is we may see 20% inflation by the end of summer, I would say. So it just gets more difficult. Here are some of the things that I do to try to keep costs down. And I know I'm going to get blasted for this one by many. I eat at home. I know people say, well, gee, I like to go out and have a meal now and then. And now and then is fine. You can't just go without some little joy in your life. But basically, I cook at home. I don't order in either. Well, maybe an occasional time, occasional outing, but not very often. Think about this. That $10 breakfast that you spend can buy enough food for more than one meal, that's for sure. Take a minute and think about that. I prepare inexpensive meals, yet tasty and satisfying. I suggest you keep some spices on hand so that you can enhance the flavor and taste of your food. And here's a biggie. Don't waste food. Right now, food is like having gold in your house, I think. When you have leftovers from a meal, freeze them up for another day. And just think about that. On that other day, you don't have to cook. But don't waste the food that your hard-earned money is buying. If you don't like to cook from scratch, make meals simple. For instance, I had a roasted chicken some time ago. Got a couple meals out of it, actually. The traveling companions got a couple meals. And then I made a huge pot of chicken soup. Now, I don't want to eat chicken soup every day of the week. Nobody does, even though it was good. However, you can freeze that chicken soup. Freeze it enough that would maybe make 2 days worth, or 1 day worth, one meal each time. And split that up, and you'll have that put aside for you. And you'll have that put aside for a time when maybe you just don't feel like cooking. Now, the other subject is, I know I hear from a lot of people, I don't want to use canned food. And I myself have always been in that train of thought. There's a lot of salt in there, even in the no salt added foods. But did you know that if you pour that can of vegetables into your colander and wash it with just plain water, you can get rid of at least 50% of the salt, even in the no salt added variety. If you're trying to stay with fresh foods and or organic produce, buy it on sale and then cut it up proportions and freeze it. And then you'll have your fresh food. You won't have to use your canned food. I would say basically what I do when I do something like that is I take one day, and that's when I will make up a bunch of food. That's not quite the right term I want to use, but I will make up a big pot of a particular thing, let's say, and then I divide that up and I freeze it. When it comes to your produce, I take it, vegetables, I chop it all up into individual packages, and I freeze it. I suggest that possibly you would make doing that on a day that you could actually make it be like a family affair. Get their children involved. They'll feel better about the fact that they're contributing to the household. Buy your food on sale, and now, because prices won't be coming down anytime soon. Buy more than you need and put it away before prices go up. What I mean is, let's say you see chicken on sale this week, and you really only need maybe, I don't know, a pound or two for the week. Let's say, maybe that's under or over an amount, but so buy double that and put the other part in the freezer. Then next week, it may be hamburger that's on sale. Buy a little bit more than what you need and put that aside, and eventually you will have that built up. You will have bought it at a discount sale price. And so as the prices rise, what you have put aside is not going to cost you what they're charging now. And I would say, please do that now, because prices are going to rise and certain products are going to become unavailable. Remember last year, I remember this clearly, around Thanksgiving time, pumpkin. You canned pumpkin. People were scrambling to find it. Do you have any canned pumpkin in your cupboard now? I do. I'm not going to get caught like that for this coming holiday. And I probably will have paid a lot less than what it's going to be this coming holiday. Okay, let's see, what else? What sort of things, I get asked this, what sort of things might I be best to store, or stock up, I should say, on? That's all kind of boils down to your preference of what you eat, basically. But I would say definitely proteins, because it appears that our meat prices are soaring of all kinds. Beef, pork, chicken. Those are all proteins. So again, I would say if you have room in your freezer, put some extra in there. If not, you have plenty of canned food choices. Tuna, canned chicken. For those of you that like sardines. There's actually even canned roast beef and gravy. It's not bad. You can put that aside for a time that you may not have any beef and not able to get any. Let me see. What else would... Proteins, I guess it could be eggs. And I know you can't store those ahead. However, I do know some people actually freeze eggs. I've not... Well, actually, I shouldn't say I haven't tried it. I did try freezing eggs. Yeah, it was okay to use the eggs for like baking, but it's not something I personally would have wanted to scramble up in the pan for breakfast, let's put it that way. But anyways, keep as many eggs on hand as you can. And there again, egg prices are probably going to soar because with a lack of chickens, we're going to have a lack of eggs. All these things sort of intertwine and kind of trickle on down. Peanut butter is a good source of protein. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in a pinch, I guess you could say. Potatoes. Potatoes are an inexpensive way or source that actually helps satisfy your hunger. So don't be afraid to have a potato now and then. Again, for those of you that don't like cooking, don't want to peel them down and boil them and make mashed potatoes, you can always pop it in the microwave. What does it take? 3-4 minutes in the microwave and you have a baked potato. For your pets, that's a hard one because that's been affected and it's been a problem for a while now where people are having trouble getting pet food. Some of that is because of the crops that were lost, like corn, wheat, and things like that, if that's what's in the dog food that you feed. I personally, for the most part, cook for mine, but again, they're small, as you see, so I can't imagine how it would be to try and cook for an 80-pound Labrador, let's say. However, you could cook up something to supplement that dry food to stretch it longer. I usually use, and this is just my preference, you could check into it and see what would be good for your pet. Always check in, because certain meats, certain dogs have allergies to, particular dog, not in general, but some do. So like if your dog can't eat chicken, obviously you're not going to cook chicken. But for me, I usually take chicken thighs, boneless, when they're on sale, cook those up, cook up some brown rice, add that to it, add some shredded carrots, and occasionally I even add a raw sweet potato. My goodness, they'd rather have that than their food. But if you're adding it to the food they usually eat, they're not going to get spoiled and turn down the food that you usually feed them. That would be one way I would suggest that you could stretch the amount of money you spend on your dog food. So I know there is a lot more that we could talk about. I'd be happy if you want to leave any questions in the comment section. If you'd like another video to explore something a little more on this subject, please do so. Leave me a message in the comments and I'd be happy to research some more things and do another video. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it's going to be a help for you. And I hope it's been informative for you. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye, but I'm also going to remind you, remember, do something good for someone as well as for yourself. Until next time, have a nice day.